All right, what's going on there, folks? Good evening. Welcome back here to the Wednesday night show here on the Earthmaster channel. It is about 10:21 p.m. California time, December 6, 2023. All right, 4.1, latest earthquake coming into the, I guess this is Central California area. Not seeing it showing up yet here on any of the seismograph stations, but it is coming in here from the USGS. Southwest of Los Banos, west here of the San Joaquin Valley. Looks like it's around the Diablo Range. There's a couple other fault systems that run through here. On the North American side of the plate boundary, this is the plate boundary here, going to be the San Andreas Fault creeping segment. Looks like some strain building up here. Looks like it just got downgraded here to a 3.8. Very negative depth there. See if anybody has felt it. This is underneath automatic status still, so uncertain on what these, what they may come up with far as a magnitude. These are just some of the estimates here from some of the local seismograph stations showing some automatic status out here, reporting a lot of threes. A couple of these stations here look like they're still consistent with the 4 magnitude. Either way, the computer, once it figures out a number, will spit it out and give a more correct magnitude, unless somebody there at the USGS office takes that into account. Maybe they'll look at it themselves. But either way, a little bit of activity there in the California region right now. Hawaii did see some activity earlier as well with a 4-pointer coming in. Let's see if they downgraded that. No, still sitting as a 4.4 earthquake, 23 kilometers deep, just to the west here, or east, of Kilauea Volcano. Of course, around this region here is where we seen that 5-pointer here a couple days ago. So a lot of interesting development and movement taking place here with the Pacific Plate currently. Of course, the hot spot that Hawaii is. Definitely, when this big old plate moves, well, Hawaii notices it, right? Kind of hard not to. It's sitting out there in the middle of the Pacific. This earthquake was felt across the area. Here's some of the folks reporting it, mainly around the populated regions, as you can see around the big island of Hawaii. They put out a USGS notice here in regards to this little earthquake. This is going to be Wednesday, December 6th, 6:10 p.m. Hawaii time on Wednesday. Today, a magnitude 4.4 earthquake occurred near the town of Volcano, island of Hawaii, at a depth of about 14 miles, 23 kilometers below sea level. The size and location of this earthquake indicate it is related to flexing of the oceanic crust buried deep below the island and is not directly related to volcanic activity. They keep saying that. Nor is it an aftershock of the magnitude 5.1 earthquake on Monday. There have been no detectable changes in activity at nearby Kilauea Volcano as a result of this earthquake. Of course, we continue to monitor everything. Let's go ahead and check out the latest activity here on the Kilauea Volcano ourselves with the latest seismograph stations and some GPS stations out here. Let's see. UWE is one of the tilt meters. Obviously, looks like we're still going up. Look at that little drop there following that 4.4. We've seen that much more significant when that 5.1 struck here a couple days ago. Definitely doing something underneath the ground there, that's for sure. I believe it's obviously volcanic activity, maybe at the deeper levels. So there's the 5.1 that struck and dropped that seismograph or the tilt meter station pretty significantly, but it did rebound. This is our current inflation trend here the last 30 days, coming back down. We're coming down here from a pretty high inflation level there at Kilauea Summit region. The highest level seen in 5 years. Followed up by about a day and a half, 2 days maybe of deflation, but now we're back on the upward trend, but not quite to that level that we seen prior here in our last inflation event. Still kind of watching it, seeing how this plays out. Earthquake activity Let's bring up a seismograph station here. There is that 4-pointer showing up rather nicely in the last 12 hours. A couple other smaller earthquakes as well. Let's hope we're not looking at maybe a huge influx of maybe magma brewing up in this area. All these deep earthquakes out here getting a little interesting, so we'll have to see how it behaves, right? But for now, everything's still relatively stable. They're at the Kilauea Volcano, if you can call it that. Let's see what else we got. Let's go back here to California, see if we got anything stirring up down in SoCal. Things are a little bit quieter here tonight, but still, don't let your guard down. Look at this inland activity stretching up here across the, basically you can pretty much draw a line right here. These faults maybe used to connect out here. The Garlock Fault shear zone. You can almost see like this linear fashion out here across this area of earthquakes. And these are not big earthquakes whatsoever, but they are still earthquakes. And they're elevated in a linear fashion out here across this region. Kind of odd, but definitely still seeing some movement out here across the plate boundary, the west coast, away from it though. So keep your eye, definitely keep your eye in California for now. Yellowstone National Park, nothing showing up there, but let's just do a real quick glance here, real quick, folks. I want to see what we got. Nothing. Zip zero. Maybe I shouldn't say zero. I did see a little spiker right here. That's about it. Very small earthquake. That's probably a 0.1. Not even a 1 magnitude, but a 0.1. All right, back to the earthquake map. Texas still rocking and rolling. No major movement out east. Look at the world view here. We're getting some further divergent boundary activity out here. The West Chile Rise did see a 5.8. That should amplify conditions out here. Now, normally, I mean, these are divergent boundaries, so obviously we're definitely getting some buildup underneath this region of the Earth, creating a lot of strain underneath there, getting that separation, so to speak, here across these oceanic faults. We should see things amplify up here across the Chile area following that movement today. And a little bit of newer activity already noted here in the deeper regions up along the coast of Peru. Again, I'll definitely watch that region here for some further uptick. Middle America Trench showing some activity, it looks like there. And let's see what else. EMSC still showing that as a 4.1. Even though the USGS has shown it as a 3.8. And it has been reviewed, so it looks like they're going to stick with that. That earthquake of a 3.8. Up into the Alaska region, getting some deep earthquake activity up here into the subduction zone, away from the plate boundary though, but some of these earthquakes relatively deep. 122 kilometers here for that 4.1. Stretching up towards the Denali area. You can see the map here, the topography of the map, all this tearing and arching here of the land, indicative of this plate boundary right here. Quite a bit of strain out here throughout the years. Western areas of the Pacific, pretty quiet here across the Kuril-Kamchatka. Still not really seeing anything showing up there. Looks like maybe a 3.9 from the EMSC, and a deep earthquake here into the Japan area. That's a 4.7. USGS is reporting that. 4.4, it looks like, almost 400 kilometers deep in that area. Philippines still seeing some earthquake activity, but toning down slightly. The last earthquake shows a 5.1 just a couple hours or so ago. Still seeing some aftershock activity. I think we'll continue to see that. Minimal migration here south into the Java Trench area, it looks like. Not a whole lot, but kind of blocked here, I would say, in terms of that momentum and stress migration. Some older movement quakes here throughout the day into the Vanuatu area and the Papua New Guinea region. Looks like New Zealand did see a 3.1 and a 3.0. Out here in the, what is it, the Caspian Sea area? Looks like a 5-pointer showing up. 5.4 to be exact, earlier this evening, my time, 42 kilometers deep. Aside from that, general small microquake activity across the area of the Mediterranean. Now notice we're getting a little bit of activity stirring up here across the northern Atlantic into the Iceland area as well. So let's go see what's going on. See if they put out any updates yet for the Iceland volcano activity. They did. It looks like maybe some more magma activity. Okay, so let's read this here. This was put out today. The likelihood of a volcanic eruption over the magma intrusion has significantly decreased, but other dangers persist in the area. So the latest geodetic modeling results suggest that the magma inflow to the dike that formed on November 10th has likely ceased. The chances of an eruption happening along the dike at this time have therefore significantly decreased. However, magma accumulation continues beneath the Svartsengi area. Let's see. So it's not over yet. A new chapter may have begun with an increased chance of a new magma propagation and subsequently increased likelihood of an eruption. So, as previously mentioned, the dike beneath Grindavik was fed by magma accumulating beneath the Svartsengi area. It is likely that this sequence of events will repeat. When looking at the overall pattern with repeated magma accumulation, it can be estimated that the next magma propagation from Svartsengi might be on a smaller scale than the one previously formed on November 10th. Magma propagation could persist for several days or hours with an increased risk due to seismic activity and deformation during that period. So signs of increase in magma movement or diversion, I guess I'm trying to say, it could include a sudden increase in seismic activity and rapid changes in ground deformation elsewhere. Let's see here. It is not possible to estimate when the next magma movement will occur. The uncertainty is considerable, and the magma propagation could happen in the next few days. So they go into articles and even some graphs down here. I'm not going to read through all of this, but well, I mean, they're tending to think that maybe we'll see an eruption somewhere else. Let's look at the earthquake activity and see what we've had over the last 12 hours. Definitely seen some movement further east here. I had a 3.0 way away from the Grindavik area. Notice earthquake activity has dropped down here significantly. So we'll have to watch some other areas out here, see if that magma migration or maybe a different area is going to be active. But it looks like for now, knock on some wood here, that these guys may be out of the woods here in terms of the eruption. We'll continue to watch that, though, and see how, definitely see how it plays out. Iceland, a very interesting area. I mean, sitting right on a rift zone, divergent boundary out here. Man, crazy, huh? A lot of potentials out there. All right, what else do we have out here? Down in the South Sandwich Trench, extreme southern end here. 4.9 coming in earlier this afternoon, 10 kilometers deep. This area has seen a little bit of movement here recently. Of course, I'm going to continue to watch that. Last 7 days of activity shows a handful of earthquakes in the 5 range, including a 5.8. Relatively deep, all of these into the subduction zone here of this trench. Look at the seismograph stations here. Pretty quiet. I'm really not seeing that 3.8 showing up on the California station or Petrolia, so that's a little odd here. Sometimes that three-pointer like that would definitely show up. A few folks did report feeling it, so it looks like it was a legit earthquake. Let's go ahead and check out space weather activity. I know we're seeing a little bit of uptick here, including a solar flare right now. Goodness, this little bad boy wants to pop off an X flare. It looks like a lot of magnetic structure arching going on within this core of this region, which is 35. What is that? 3513. Take a look at the magnetogram here. Definitely growing. So is the companion down here. So we'll continue to watch that. All other areas over here look fairly stable. I think our main threat looks like 3513 right now. It is cracking and popping like crazy with C and M flares. Look at that. A lot of spikiness going on. Very unstable. And it's currently flaring. It looks like it's coming down from a C flare. But that is indeed a very active region. I want to save that image there maybe for a thumbnail. Let's see here. That was put out yesterday. We did have some type of prominence eruption on the northern end, I believe, northern edge of the sun. Blasted off, I think, earlier. Let's see if we can see that. Maybe not on that one. That only goes back a little ways. There was something that just shut off there. You see that? Right. If we go back to the beginning right here, there's some plasma shooting off, kind of glitching out a little bit, but it looks like from this area, Earth facing. You guys see that? There was one up here as well. It looks like it may be about ready to blast off, but to me it looks like there was some Earth type, Earth facing side of some prominence eruption and ejection there of plasma. I'm kind of curious to see if that may be Earth directed. I have to keep an eye on that. Either way, I think we can agree that 3513 wants to kick off a party here in terms of flaring. 99% certainty for a C flare, M flare at 40% chance, X flare around 10%. So keep an eye on bad boy 3513 up here. Definitely looks quite active. No major expected aurora events here in the forecast. A little bit of auroras kicking up though right now, unexpectedly, or maybe expectedly. It looks like 2 to 3, but yeah. There's always solar wind hitting us. Sometimes we get these little plasma ejections there that are not really noticed. I mean, Kevin didn't put anything out on it, but you could definitely see it in one of those images. So continue to watch that. Storm Prediction Center, not a whole lot of severe weather. Here in California, my neck of the woods, we picked up a measly 0.05 of an inch of rain. Woohoo! Talk about a drenching. Not even. Well, the good thing is it's kind of keeping things moist, I guess. But man, we need some bigger rainfall than that here in California. And it's all been aimed at the Pacific Northwest. We do have a little bit more rainfall coming in tomorrow, but I'm not expecting much. Some areas around here seen some heavier rainfall, but where I'm at, just outside of Chico, it just it rained for a little bit, and then that was about it. Looking at the long-term model, show a good old whopper of a storm out here into the eastern seaboard area. Quite a bit of rainfall kicking up there. More rainfall. Seen some historical heavy-duty rain up here recently with some flooding going on to the Pacific Northwest. I think they're done with the rain, so I think we would be happy to receive it down here in Northern California, but the track is just aimed up there at the Pacific Northwest. And I'm hoping that changes because we need it. All right, what else is there, folks? I think that's about it. Again, keep your eyes open. Be alert. Be prepared out here. Anything can take place at any time. What I find really strange here is the lack of movement here across the Crow-Kamchatka with everything else moving, the whole Pacific Plate and whatnot. But this area. And this is a region here that's very strained. I believe this thing's capable of producing a mega quake, and they have. They've seen some huge quakes out here in the past. We've covered that quite a bit. I'll show you guys here real quick. I'm going to pull up custom magnitudes, and we're just going to go 7.5 and above for this area. We're going to look at historical data here real quick for that area. Since it's still somewhat early. Okay, I'm going to draw a little area out here. It's actually not a little area. It's actually pretty big. I'm not going to really include the Japan Trench too much out here. I just want to kind of get this area right here. And I think that's good. I just want to see what we have here. for earthquake activity. It looks like the last one here, the newest, was a 7.5 back in 2020. And even then, that's kind of they can see some eights. That's kind of definitely a large earthquake, but there's areas out here that have not seen a whole lot in recent years. The last 8-pointer was in the Sea of Osk up here, very deep, 600 kilometers deep. I remember that one, 8.3. And the previous other 8-pointer was back in 2007. So it doesn't take a whole lot of time for stress to build up out here. But I don't think this 7.5 relieved a lot of stress over here across this area. There's an 8.3 back in 2006. See, they've seen 2 8-pointers. Look at that. Within a year of each other. 8.3 1994. So these mega quakes, 8.5 back in 1963, 8.3 1958. I mean, goodness. Mega quake activity galore across the Kroll-Kamchatka, and it just has been quiet as can be out there lately. So we'll keep an eye on it, folks. I mean, it's definitely building up strain for the next big 8-pointer out here. Question is, when's it going to happen? I'm just surprised we haven't seen anything taking place here. Remember the Izu swarm up here a month or so back, and all this activity in the Philippines now, all the movement down south, movement up north into Alaska, and the Kroll-Kamchatka is just right there, just standing by on the sidelines doing absolutely nothing. Well, I'm sure it's doing something, building up some strain, but haven't really seen earthquake activity. All right, folks, speaking of the Philippines, got a flat line of an earthquake here on that Philippines station coming in right now. Hard to say exactly what the magnitude is. Looking at it, but definitely a good size one. These bigger ones that are above 5 and in the 6 range, they show up pretty nicely on the Thailand station up here, and Japan as well. So that's kind of how I compare. Look at Hot Caves Hawaii moving roughly about the same time as the Philippines start moving. Coincidence? I think not. Well, you know, the Pacific Plate, right? Hawaii's right there. Philippines, it's all connected. It's all one big giant jigsaw puzzle, so to speak. So, we'll have to check back on that and see how big that magnitude is. But definitely flatlined it. And normally those right there with that flatline this, let's see here. Let's see. I don't really see it showing up on this station up here in the Thailand area. But either way, definitely some shaking going on, and no doubt that shaking will continue, right? From that earthquake activity they seen here a couple days ago, that 7-pointer. So just be prepared for more shaking. Hopefully things will calm down, but obviously it's a sign of continued stress and pressure out here in the region. Keep an eye on Hawaii as well. When these guys move, Hawaii definitely wants to kick up. What just came in here to Hawaii, 1.8. So 1.8 coming in roughly about the same time as the this larger quake there in the Philippines. Still uncertain on to how large it is, but it'll come in. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Have yourself a good night. Live stream is up and running as always, 24/7, and it will remain that way. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow morning, Thursday. Take care, folks. Have a good night.